A 2 square mile toxic blob of sludge at the bottom of Lake Erie is slowly but surely getting the attention of the Ohio EPA as well as Cleveland Water Department as it crawls dangerously close to an intake pipe that supplies the city's water. It's very scary, but don't freak out because everyone's basically saying it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's kind of far away. It's a few miles out.
Yeah, 5 miles is no biggie.
Yeah,
no biggie.
It's far. So recent tests of this area called Area 1, I think we have a map that shows this ginormous 2 square mile blob. They found high concentrations of PCBs and PAHs, which are very highly toxic pollutants that are basically 100% fatal to aquatic organisms that live in this lake, as well as they're carcinogens to humans as well, and could be fatal as well. But basically, what a lot of these officials are saying is, well, it's far out, so we got time. These giant blobs, they don't move fast. So
right.
The EPA Director Craig Butler, he just sent a letter this week to General Richard Kaiser, who's head of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Great Lakes Division. Here's what he had to say. Area 1 is within approximately 5 miles of a water intake for the city of Cleveland. Sampling data in and around Area 1 clearly shows the ability of these sediments to migrate and further shows the sediment migrating in the direction of the water intake. So this EPA Director Craig Butler is saying, guys, we need to do something about this. But this U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Great Lakes Division are the same people that are at loggerheads with the EPA saying that we should be dumping more crap into this lake.
I see.
So the people that they're asking for help are people that are trying to get more shit dumped into this lake.
Right, the people that want, okay, got it. Yeah, so, but obviously no big deal. That 5 miles that the sediment can clearly, oh goodness gracious. Well, I mean, the broader implications of just water safety and everything, I think just everything that happened in Flint tells us that we really should not necessarily be trusting officials, you know? It's like, how long was that an issue before officials really admitted to that? To me, it seems pretty obvious that toxic sludge 5 miles off the coast is dangerous.
So I don't care if it's 10 miles.
Yeah.
Stuff travels in water, right?
Yeah, and whether it's just damaging the actual water supply, the drinking supply, the fact that it's toxic to mollusks and worms and vital parts of the ecosystem is a problem in itself.
Right, exactly. If anyone's wondering where a giant blob of toxic sludge comes from, well, this was basically stuff that it's being used for liquids like a coolant and other things that we put in our cars. These are byproducts of when we're pumping out fossil fuels. And basically this predates, I mean, this has been in the lake for a very long time. This predates the Clean Water Act of 1972. So since the 70s, since the early 70s, late 60s, this crap has been sitting inside of the lake. And basically now we have laws against it, but still the lines are a little bit blurry as to what's deemed safe and what's not deemed safe. So that's why we see, people at loggerheads, the EPA saying, no, you can't dump it. Other people saying we need to dump stuff in the lake because we have nowhere other place to put it. It's fine, don't worry about it. But I have a feeling if that was their drinking water, they wouldn't be so quick.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also just reminds me of in a similar vein, just the whole argument around climate change and climate science in general is the people that not only have people been putting it off like, oh, we don't have to worry about it. Over the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, people have been like, oh, it's not a big deal right now. But then also you look at like the fossil fuel industry and the people that have a vested interest in keeping the status quo, not wanting to deal with these things. This is, I know it's a somewhat different issue, but it's still that same just ignoring of a huge problem that could potentially become fatal.
Exactly, the things that officials in Michigan did for so long.
Yeah.
And then when it gets really bad and everyone's talking about, oh, well, now it's time to scramble, our ideas together and do something about it because people are asking us to resign. So we should do something.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'll do my job.
But I mean, this problem seems like it's far away, 5 miles. But who knows? What if they do additional testing and they find out that there are actually carcinogens in this water?
It's sediment.
Right?
I mean, sediment flows pretty freely, right?
It's scary.
The ocean. There's currents.
It's a very scary thought. And you mentioned Flint and how, just because state officials, city officials tell us that something is safe doesn't necessarily mean it is, because people have been drinking this lead water in Flint for quite a long time. They're trying to cover their own ass in the end. But still, all this being said, I don't think that enough is being said about this topic. I don't think enough people are talking about it. So unlike this story, this toxic blob actually has legs and it's moving.